Hey guys, welcome back, or if you're new here, welcome. My name is Darian, also known as Mrs. G here on YouTube. If you are new, I'm a stay-at-home mama who loves to document my life. Here on this channel, I do lifestyle videos, homemaking, cooking, cleaning, all of those things, but I also do motherhood videos. Now that we are finishing up April and jumping into May next week, which is insane, I am going to do a series called Motherhood May here on my channel. And each week in May, we will be talking about a different subject of my experiences in motherhood. And I really hope that you are interested in that. If you are, please hit the like button on this video and consider subscribing so you can stick around. Definitely hit that bell notification button so you know when my video is posted. So to kick off the Motherhood May series, I first need to talk about the day I became a mom and kind of that story on how my experience went. And so today I'm going to be sharing with you my birth story. And my little guy just turned a year old. He's actually 13 months old, so he just turned a year old last month. Check out that video if you want to see his Cookie Monster birthday party. I am a year postpartum, and I have not done any videos on postpartum and my pregnancy and how all of that went. But what I'm definitely going to share with you guys today is how the event leading up to his birth went. It was unexpected, not what I planned at all, and it was very long. So I am very much looking forward to sharing this all with you guys. And if you relate to my story or you've had a similar experience or anything like that, please leave in the comments a little bit about your story. I would love to hear it and hear that there are other people that feel the same way that I do. Okay, so to start out, I need to let you know a little bit of my life. I gotta lay some groundwork. So I live in Petersburg, Alaska, in the middle of nowhere in Southeast. But here in our small communities, we're on an island of about 2,500 to 3,000 people, and our health services are great for what we have, but there are some things that we cannot do in our communities, and one of those things is giving birth. So because of that, 1 month prior to your due date, the mama actually leaves, and you go to a couple of different communities depending on insurance and yada yada yada, where you want to do it, all of that. So I left a month prior. My baby was due March 1st, and so I left February 8th, I think. I headed there and basically just sat and waited. So time is moving forward. I am staying in my hotel room. My hotel room's actually on campus. The hospital's literally across the street. It's evening time, and all of a sudden I'm starting to get some pains in my stomach and realizing that they are a little bit of contractions. So we are still about 3 weeks out, but they are happening faster. So they're happening every 1 to 3 minutes, but they're not incredibly painful, but they're painful enough for a first-time mom who's never felt contractions before. I'm like, this is very uncomfortable. So I went in and they checked me, and I was only like 1 centimeter dilated, maybe, and definitely not effaced enough yet. Which is exactly what I heard at my last appointment. So nothing changed. I'm there, got my IV in, they're checking my blood pressure, baby's doing good, and they're just like, you're dehydrated, we're gonna try to get these to stop because we'd like you not to deliver yet. They did stop, and I was able to go back to my room, now in the 37-week mark. And we're looking at everything, and I think, I can't remember the stat, it was like 80% or whatever, babies are delivered between 37 and 40 weeks. So looking at where I am dilated and how much I'm effaced and the timeline that we're at, and since I've already had like some contractions, we thought it would be a good idea to get my dad and my husband up to Sitka. And so they got on a plane and came and saw us. We were pretty confident that baby was gonna be arriving soon. We were wrong. My due date came and went. But on the plus side, it was also basketball regionals, which, being a sports family, we love. We were pretty stoked that we now had something to do every day and go watch games. Also, on the plus side of that, my sister-in-law was a senior playing, so my in-laws came up. So now literally my entire family is there ready to watch basketball and hopefully see a baby. So we are starting to watch the basketball games, and I'm in the stands with my husband. The next thing I know, contractions start. This is happening on Tuesday, March 5th. And we are like, okay, we're ready. So I'm not leaving yet because I'm watching basketball. So my back's hurting, but the contractions are just starting. And then they start getting pretty intense. So I'm like, hey, Eric, we should probably head back to our room and kind of go from there. We got back to the room, and I am doing everything I possibly can to get these contractions to continue, because at this point I was done being pregnant. I'm already 4 days past my due date. I am very uncomfortable. I start doing lunges down the hallway, and we're just continuing walking.
Here we are doing lunges, trying to get this baby out of here. Mama's doing what she can. So far, 5 minutes apart.
And then they stop. When it's time, I lay down for bed and they stop. Next morning, we get up, we eat breakfast, and right as breakfast happens, I start getting contractions again. It's now Wednesday, we're waiting for the contractions, we're going, and it's bedtime and they stop. And I'm like, are you kidding me? So the next morning is Thursday. I wake up and my, it was still like just an upset stomach sort of thing. We go to breakfast, contractions start again. So I'm like, maybe it's food. So I'm eating food and trying to get these contractions to keep going, and they keep going. So I'm like, yes, we are moving forward. I'm in pain and I'm taking hot showers and I'm walking and doing everything I possibly can to get these contractions to continue. And finally, I'm like, okay, we are in labor. This is happening. I start having like the show. By Thursday night, we went to across the street to labor and delivery. They checked me and they're like, you are 3 centimeters. You're not ready yet. So we're gonna send you back. You need to come back when your pain doubles. So I'm like, okay. We were sent back to our room on Friday. It is now 6:30-ish a.m. and they send me home to wait till my pain doubles or my water breaks. So we go back and I continue laboring for the next like 12 to 14 hours. My parents call and are like, hey, how's it going? Has your pain doubled? And I'm like, well, I feel like I've been shot, but I'm not dying yet, so I think that means not yet. Late Friday night, I go into the hospital because my lower back pain is intense. Literally the only explanation is it felt like I was being ripped in half from my lower back. Go to the hospital and they're like, guess what? We're going to admit you. You're not leaving here without a baby. I'm like, yes.
You just hanging out? You're about to become a daddy.
I am a daddy.
Yeah.
You're about to become a mama.
Mm-hmm.
Are you excited?
Nervous.
You should be.
It's nerve-wracking. We're gonna walk out of your parents.
Yeah. You got this stuff.
You've been amazing.
You've been amazing.
Saturday morning, and I am in full-blown labor and I am laboring hard. So I got my epidural because I was in labor for so long, and it was a lifesaver. I was able to sleep, and my contractions were even like shooting off the chart. Like you couldn't even see them anymore, shooting off. And they're like, how are you doing? And I'm like, I feel great. Like I didn't even feel anything. She did a great job with my epidural. I felt pressure, but I did not feel the pain I was feeling before. We finally get to like 6 o'clock at night, and they my water still is not broken, and I am at 7 centimeters. So they're like, we're gonna break your water and get you moving. So we finally get to 10 and they come in and they're like, yes, you're at 10. We're going to have a baby. I was so stoked. I was like, okay, let's go. And so they started getting all preparations in and they're like, we're not going to make you push right now. We're going to let the baby drop a little bit more naturally and kind of let nature take its course, your body do its thing. So while we get ready, we're gonna kind of wait for the baby to drop. So it's now 9:30 p.m. on Saturday night and we start practice pushing. So we are pushing, we're going, and then there's an ER call. My doctor gets called to the ER from a medevac. So he leaves me, he goes to the ER, comes back, and he's like, so I have an ER patient that I really need to be with. So we're going to call the OBGYN, the head guy. His name was Dr. Bab, and he's going to come in and do it with you. I've been pushing and pushing for 5 hours and I am exhausted. My body's getting exhausted. I'm starting to get like delirious and I'm like slurring words because I've never been that exhausted in my entire life. I do like a little ultrasound while I'm there, check everything out. Micah was still sunny side up and diagonal. And my ER doctor comes in and he's talking to my OB. They're like, hey, the patient that we have in the ER, he's gonna probably need surgery. And how's everything going here? My OB is like, I think we're gonna need to do a C-section because baby was okay, but since he was diagonal, his head was hitting my pelvis and causing his head to swell a bit, and then it was also destroying my bladder. And I was obviously getting so exhausted. And they were like, okay, so we have an ER patient that needs surgery and we have you who needs to go have a C-section. And so I look at the doctor and I said, how many OR teams do you have? And he's like, well, we have one OR team. And I said, if I need to push this baby out, then you need to tell me. I need to suck it up and push this baby out. And he's like, I'm not going to take the OR from somebody who needs surgery and just got medevaced here because he needs surgery right now. I'm not going to take that if I can push this baby out. Like, I'm not going to make that guy's life be ruined because I was tired. So I'm like, we just got to do this. And he's like, okay, let's do this. So we sit down, I'm continuing pushing, and he finally gets to the point, he's like, you need to have a C-section. They grab a pair of scrubs, throw them at my husband, and everything starts working. They unhook my epidural. The moment they move my bed into the hallway, all pain is back. The epidural is long gone. I'm screaming. I'm laying on my back and I'm having back labor and screaming down the hallway and saying hi to my family on my way there. We get to the OR. They tell my husband to wait outside because they need to get me ready. So they bring me in. We sit on the edge of the bed and I do the whole lean over thing. I'm holding onto this tiny little nurse and they're like, okay, we're going to put your spinal block in. And so they come at me with this giant horse needle. I'm bent over holding on this tiny little nurse and they're like, don't move. And I have a contraction, a hard contraction in my lower back while they're about to poke me with a giant horse needle. And I am like breaking this little tiny nurse and they're like, don't move. And she's like, she's having a contraction. And they shove that needle into my back and then they laid me down flat. And they're like, okay, we need you to lay like this because the spinal block's going to kick in and we need to make sure you're here. So try not to move if you can. And they're like, it's going to take like 5 minutes for this thing to kick in. It's now been 10 minutes. I'm still screaming. And they put the screen up. And I'm like, I am not numb. I am not numb. And I am flipping out because I can't now see anything. And I'm like, they're going to cut me and I'm not numb. And then I'm going to pass out. They're like, we would not cut you until we know you're numb. Like, it's going to be okay. And they're like, wait, you're not numb at all? And I'm like, I am not numb. I feel no numbness whatsoever. And so they are going around me and they're poking me. I'm like, I feel it all. I feel it all. And so the spinal block did not work. And they're like, okay, so she's had 2 epidurals and a spinal block. That's not working. We need to knock you out. And I'm like, knock me out, let's do it. And so they're like, okay, so we're gonna do the anesthesia. And they come over with the mask and I just like grab it and suck it in. And I'm like, okay. And I like finally, and I just shut my eyes. It'll all be over in 10 minutes. And I'm out. Because I know that's exactly what it feels like when I'm knocked out. It literally feels like I've been asleep for 10 minutes. I wake up and it's been several hours. And I wake up in a room by myself with my OB and a nurse. And I wake up and he goes, congratulations, you have a boy, which we did not know what we were having. So I was excited, but did not show any excitement whatsoever because I was drugged out of my mind. And this nurse comes over and just like pushes on my stomach so hard and starts kneading me like I'm bread. And I grab her hand and fling her away from me. And I'm like, what are you doing? And she's like, I have to do this. I have to do this right now. And so I'm like, are you an idiot? Like, I just got a baby taken out of my stomach. He cut me, he sewed me back up, and now you're pushing on me? Like, that doesn't sound right. And they're like, hey, we're gonna go meet your baby and see your family. So they're wheeling me down the hallway, and I see my family, and they're all like, yay, Darian, nice to see you. And I see my husband, and I was like, we have a boy. And I guess he was very upset because he wanted to tell me, but the doctor didn't get that memo. We go in and they're like, hey, let's try nursing. And it's me and my husband and we're just taking it in. I remember Micah being placed on my chest and this is the first time I'm touching my baby, but I am still so drugged. Everything was fuzzy. I felt like tunnel vision and I could not formulate sentences or thoughts in my head. And we continued just to cuddle as a family and they told me to get some rest. So now that everything's calmed down, they tell me, hey Darian, because you had anesthesia, baby needs a little bit of help with oxygen and breathing. They said it's totally normal, but anesthesia passes through you when delivering that way. And he's like a little groggy and sleepy. So we are gonna give him some oxygen. Finally, hours later, after I did finally get some rest, my doctor came in and we all started talking about what happened and how everything went. So what I did not know was when you get anesthesia, you no longer get to have your husband or significant other or anybody in the room with you. And once you are out, they need to intubate you. And they also, the process needs to speed up since you are not awake. And I did not know that. And so I'm out, they intubate me, they're getting everything ready. And one person comes out to tell my husband, they say, hey, we had to intubate her. Her spinal block did not work. I'm sorry, you can't go in. You can stay right here. We'll let you know how everything's going. Do not look through the little OR window. And he's like, okay. And so he's standing out there, still dressed head to toe, kind of looks like a nurse. And he is waiting for me and he's standing out there and he peeks through the window like he's not supposed to. I don't know how long after. And he sees that baby has been born, but baby has 6 nurses around him. And he doesn't initially hear him cry. And we find out afterwards that that's because of the anesthesia transferred over to Micah. He was groggy and all of that. So he was fine. They were getting him all cleaned up, but Eric did not know that at that time. And for me, I was in there longer than what my family and Eric were told I would be in there. So I'm in there later and Eric's still out there waiting and a nurse comes out and walks right past him down the hallway. And Eric's like, okay. So he follows her. She walks to the waiting room where my family is, my in-laws. They have video cameras out and they're like, congratulations, it's a boy. You guys are grandparents. And then Eric walks up behind her and he's like, is my wife okay? Is my baby okay? I haven't heard anything. Nobody's told me anything. what do I have? Like, is everything okay? And she's like, oh, I thought you're the dad. And he's like, yes, I've been standing right out. Like, you just walked past me. What's happening? And my like family's like, yay, congratulations, with their video camera like showing it in his face. Congratulations, are you so excited? And he's like, what is happening? And the nurse goes, I am so sorry. Everything's going well. Baby's doing great. You have a boy. And he's like, thanks. Like, okay. So she goes back in and he's like, that was a great way to find out. My doctor came in and we all started talking about like what happened. He's like, it went well. He says, so you lost a lot of blood, and we were prepared to do blood transfusions because I lost like the max amount of blood that you can before you need transfusion. So he goes, your uterus is very, very tired, and it's called uterine atony. That is what happened. Uterine atony is when after you have a baby, your uterus does not contract like it should, or not at all. Like, it's not contracting. And you need your uterus to contract afterwards because that's how bleeding stops and all of that. He goes, it wasn't contracting, which can lead to postpartum hemorrhaging. And we needed to do everything we possibly could to get your uterus to contract. He said, we loaded you up with a ton of different medications, and he told me where they were all like placed. He was like, we did that. We actually manually squeezed your uterus, trying to get it to contract. He said, we have tried everything because I did not want to give you a hysterectomy at 22. And at that point, I'm like, did he have to give me a hysterectomy? And he goes, thankfully, we did not have to give you a hysterectomy. We got to the point where I thought that it might work, that everything would be fine. So I closed you up. And he said, so now we have to monitor you. The people that keep coming in and squeezing your belly really tight and making you hurt, that's going to continue happening as we watch to make sure that your uterus is going to contract. So I'm very blessed and thankful that I did not have to have a hysterectomy. After that, I was a little on the sad side was that my husband was not able to be in the room with me to watch our baby being born, and I was not awake, so I was not aware of my baby being born. We did not find out the sex of our baby, so that way, you know, that we could have that baby being pushed out and congratulations, and we wanted that, and we did not get to experience it that way. We were actually both told in not a nice way, I guess, that we had a boy. And I also did not get to see or touch my baby for several hours. I was in recovery for about 4 hours, I believe. So the plus side of that is his daddy got to give him skin to skin, and they got to bond right off the bat before I even got to do that. And they got to cuddle and get all the skin to skin, and it was amazing. But there were those couple little things that I was not expecting and didn't get to have, and it was on the sad side. But with that said, my baby was healthy and happy, and everything was great. My doctor also, while we're having that conversation, he goes, so baby was sunny side up, facing upwards, as you know, and baby's 10 pounds and 3 ounces. And I was like, 10? You said 8 was gonna be your guess. The lady who did my ultrasound a week ago said it was gonna be 8. You people lied. You are 2 pounds off. And he goes, also, when babies are sunny side up and you're pushing, the pressure and everything and the way that you're pushing actually adds 2 pounds to what you're pushing. So I was trying to push out a 12-pound baby basically for several hours. And with all of that said and done, it did not go to plan whatsoever. That is not how I would have planned or would have liked a birth to go, but it was perfect nonetheless. And it sounds crazy to say that, and people, when they hear my story, are like, oh my gosh, you must never want to have kids again. False. I would literally sign up to do that again anytime. All right, guys, so I really hope that you enjoyed listening to my birth story. My baby is healthy and a full-grown 13-month-old, and I am glad to say that I'm healed without issue, and I'm looking forward to doing it again one day. Again, it was not planned and not ideal, but it was our story nonetheless, and I absolutely love it and will cherish it forever. But please consider subscribing, click that bell notification, and stick around on this channel. We are entering into Motherhood May, where I will be sharing, there's 4 weeks in May, so I'll be sharing a different motherhood topic each week, and I really hope that you want to join and tag along for that. So please consider subscribing. Follow me on Instagram. I'm at mrs.g.youtube, and that is where I give kind of real-time updates and let you know a video is coming out or if a video is late, all of that stuff. So definitely follow me over there. And I really hope that you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next week. Bye, guys.